This is UMAR Ahmed for IFL TV in association with MTK Global via Zoom. It's been far too long, Frank, but we're finally together via the internet.
You know, mate.
How you
Sorry,
doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm okay, Frank. I'm okay. Obviously, a lot going on in the boxing world at the moment.
Thank God for that. It's been so quiet, hasn't it? And we got our shows away, as you know. Last month we've done 3, so we're still got a bit between our teeth now. We've got a great show coming up next week with Cole Frampton, Mick Conlon, and then we got the following week we've got on the 29th we've got Daniel Dubois. So we're happy, and we'll be announcing some big shows, I hope, next week for September and October.
Yeah, let's start with next week. Obviously, you had Joe Joyce on last week, but you've got 2 real stars in Carl Frampton and Michael Conlon back on BT. Also, the likes of Archie Sharp and Dennis McCann. But obviously, I'm sure you're really pleased that the likes of Frampton and Conlon are back on your screens.
Yeah, I am. Cole was supposed to fight in Belfast against Herring for the title, and obviously we lost that. We lost a lot of momentum. That was going to be one of our shows we were going to do over the just before the summer break, as we did lose at the time the big fight with Daniel and Joe Joyce, and we were doing Josh Taylor up in Scotland, so we lost out on those big shows. But anyway, we are where we are now. We've got to make the best of the situation, and I'm really pleased that Cole's fighting next week.
Yeah, Frank, let's get straight into it then. Obviously, I'm at the Matchroom bubble at the moment. I've been with Eddie Hearn throughout this week. I even was there when he spoke to you on the phone yesterday. He's told me his side of the thing of what was said on the phone, just said that after he gets his shows out the way, you get your show out the way, that he'll be happy to meet for a bite to eat and discuss a few things next month. Is that what happened on the phone?
Well, you heard what he said, so that's what happened.
Could you tell me anything more from your side?
No, that's what we agreed to do. I called him in the morning, picked up the phone. I said, look, we really want to make this fight. Left a message, please give me a call. And he returned the call in the afternoon, and you heard what he said. So that's where we are, and I'm really looking forward to this meeting. I would like to have the meeting tomorrow if I can. I'd like to come over to Brentwood and meet in the car park if necessary. But anyway, you're in the bubble, as they say. So let's get that out of the way, and then we can sit down, and we've got a lot of good things to discuss between us, which is beneficial to the sport and making sure that we can deliver some big fights to the fans.
Well, let's talk about your statement, which was addressed to Matchroom and Sky. Where did this firstly come from, Frank?
Come from us.
No, but where did the idea come from?
Come from us. We looked at it, we thought, look, was it last week or so, or the last few days, Matchroom Eddie said that the sport was in a terrible state. Well, I got news for him. The world's in a terrible state. People are losing their jobs left, right, and centre. Outside of the bubble that you're sitting in at the moment, a lot of things are happening. My team, Arsenal, just made 55 people redundant. Pizza Express just shut 70 outlets. Virgin Atlantic's gone into Chapter 11 in the States, and God knows how many other companies and people have lost their jobs. Sports in terrible trouble. There are football clubs. There are a lot of big clubs in trouble, and smaller clubs are on the verge of going bankrupt at the moment because no fans are allowed and so forth. So I hear what he's saying about boxing. From us, we obviously want the crowds there, but we're not in bad shape. We've got the biggest broadcasting deal in Europe. It lasts for a number of years. I know his agreement with Sky ends in approximately 6 months' time. Obviously, the Zone, nothing's happening at the moment, and it's a shame there what's going on with the Zone, because we want the Zone to be successful. We want people to buy into the fights. But they've had a few problems themselves. They cancelled their rights deal with the UEFA. Major League Baseball, Serie A in Italy in mid-contract. Their CEO's recently left. And you hear lots of stories every day. And they're obviously struggling like a lot of people. We've got 3,000 people there and work apparently with jobs, and we certainly don't want to see them lose their job. So they've got a tough time as well. But that affects obviously Matchroom because they deal with them. We're with BT, which is a blue chip company in this country. They're the company that own EE, telephone company. They own all the pipe work that like we're talking over at the moment, broadband and so forth. They own all that. They're a massive company. As I say, we've got the biggest boxing deal in Europe. No other promoter's got that with any other TV company in Europe. So we're in a good shape. We look after the interest of Tyson Fury, who's the number 1 boxer in the world, biggest star out there, number 1 boxer on the planet. We've just done 5-year extension deal with Daniel Dubois, who many people consider to be the best young heavyweight out there. Joe Joyce will say other things differently. They've got the silver medalist, but he's with us as well. We've got Anthony Yard, and I can go through a list of fighters. You know what our roster is. We've got some fantastic young fighters coming through and other fighters, Liam Williams and so forth. I could keep mentioning names. I don't want to piss everybody off by not mentioning them, but we've got some fantastic fighters. So, you know what? We're in good shape. We have no problems. So what I want to do now is move it on to another level. We've got our 3 shows, which we set out to do recently. We've got our 3 shows out of the way, and the objective there was to make sure that, because we're the pioneers in this, to make sure it works as far as the health aspects and so forth was concerned, and it looked okay. And we delivered some good fights, good competitive quality fights on all those cards, which were well received. So I'm happy with that. I'm really happy where we are. And now we're moving up a gear. As you mentioned, Cole's out next week. We've got Daniel Dubois on the 29th, and we're announcing some big shows in September and October. And what I want to do in the meantime is get this meeting on with Eddie. So him and I, which we have got on now, get the dates sorted out so we can get together and make these fights. Because they're big fights. They're great for the sport, great for the fans, great for BT, great for Sky, and fantastic for the boxers. They'll earn a few quid.
Well, yeah, you're right about the fans. It went down a treat, that statement.
Good.
When I saw the statement, I thought this is fantastic news. It's well overdue. In terms of Eddie, when I interviewed him yesterday, he did say that he feels like this is a publicity stunt and you guys are being desperate. Do you want to respond to that, Frank?
Well, do you want me to say how desperate we are? I just told you where our position. I mean, you want me to bore you with all those statistics I've just told you about BT, the biggest company. I'm not going to repeat myself and all that. I haven't got 6 months left on a contract. The Zone, I'm not waiting to put dates on. I'm not desperate at all. What I am desperate. That's a lie. I'm desperate to make these fights happen for boxing. I'm desperate because I think my guys have got to beat them, his guys. Now, look, that's a judgment. I may be right, I may be wrong. I'm desperate to make those fights happen. Not for the reasons he suggests. I'm desperate to get it there for the fans. And I don't want to be sidetracked with all the bullshit and all the pettiness and all the crap. That's why I picked the phone up to him. And I didn't say to anybody, I've picked the phone up to him. Did I? I never put that out. I've not told anybody. You was in the room when he called me back. So he's in the room with a member of the press letting him know that he's returned my call. So I've reached out to try and do it, not out of desperation, out of doing the right thing for the sport. Let's get these fights on. Pick up the phone. You should now ring Adam Smith, ring BT and say, do you want these fights? I know what the answer is from BT because we spoke about this before we made the offer. I know where they're at. They're on the same page as us. And I think Sky are on the same page too. Between us, we can sit down and revolutionise what is going on in boxing at the moment and what is going on actually in British sport. We have a unique opportunity of out of bad, this terrible pandemic and what it's caused to the general public and so forth to give some great entertainment and deliver the best fight and the best. That's what it's about and that's what we want to do.
Have you spoken to Adam Smith, Frank, recently?
No, he sent me a text back yesterday saying he understands that I'd spoken now with Eddie Hearn and he looks forward to it all happening.
Eddie was insistent Joshua Fury is the priority, but he said that he just has to deal with Bob Arum and he doesn't have to essentially speak to you. Again, do you want to respond to that, Frank?
I don't know why he keeps saying that. You know, we are equal partners with Top Rank. I'm sure Tyson will tell you this and everything. At the moment, the only reason Arum's been talking to him, Bob Arum's been talking to him, is he's done the Pulev deal with him, with Joshua. So he's been talking to him. And as everybody keeps saying, you never speak to Eddie Hearn. I mean, you guys will be saying, you've never spoken. All these years, you've never spoken. But you know what? We have now. And I've got no problem how that fight's made. But whatever happens, Queensbury are equal partners in it with everyone. So he can't tell anybody what our position is. I know what our position is. And that's it. But you know what? Let's park all that crap up because at the end of the day, that fight can't happen until next year, according to him and everybody else, because Tyson's got a contracted fight return match with Deontay Wilder, and he's got Pulev, and he's talked about putting it on December. So I'm not going to wait till next year saying that's priority. If it's priority, if that fight's him, it's priority. That's news to my ears. So don't keep throwing Dillian White in the mix because that don't make it priority. Priority is to get it done. What is priority now, whilst we're waiting for that fight, is to get these other fights done. And the good news is we're meeting.
He was very keen on the idea of Joshua Buatsi and Anthony Yard. I will say that.
Good. Well, I'm keen on it. That's why we suggest it. But there are a lot of other fights there that I'm keen on as well. So I want to make them all happen.
Well, there's a couple of ones that are obviously mandatory. Let's start with Conor Benn and Chris Jenkins. What's the purse bid situation with that, Frank?
I'm not sure at the moment. I'm not sure, to be quite honest. I don't think it's mandatory, is it? Has it been put out for purse bids?
Yeah.
Well, it has. You know what? Yeah, well, you know something I don't know. Is that for purse bids? We haven't got to work. We can either go to purse bids, or alternatively, we can sit down and work it out. I haven't got a problem with that. But we do it through the right channels. What you don't do, you don't go to the fighter and his trainer making the offers. You come to the people who've got the contract for it. You know, it's that's what you're supposed to do. Because that was similar situations like with Telemundo last week when they wrote a solicitor's letter, Matchroom, to them saying they were interfering one of their contracts. And I absolutely agree what they did. That's what you should be doing when people try to backdoor you.
Liam Williams, Demetrius Andrade is another one.
Yeah, that we keep postponing the purse bids, obviously because of the pandemic, but let's just get it sorted. We want to sort these fights out. I mean, that's the only fight in there. We know it's ordered, but it's not a fight involving a Brit. The rest are all Brits. And we don't know what's going to happen at the moment with this pandemic. You know, whether these air corridors are going to stay in force or, you know, we've seen all these peaks all over the place, certainly in Europe. So let's deal with what we know we can deliver between the two of us, which is these big domestic fights.
On Liam Williams, what have you made of the back and forth between him and Chris Eubank Jr.?
I love the fight, but you know it's not going to happen. They won't go near anyone who's got a pulse.
Frank, another thing I want to bring up is the TV ratings. That's what everyone's talking about at the moment. Obviously, Mike Coppinger started all this. Do you just want to make a comment on the ratings reportedly about BT?
Right. Well, let's talk about what they're all talking about. Barb ratings. So I'll just give you a little bit of background to Barb. Barb stated last year that Joshua and Andy Ruiz peaked at 145,000 viewers, not pay-per-view viewers, which would mean it would be less pay-per-view. They stated the WWE SmackDown, which recently took place, got 0. Not right. No one watched it, according to them. We did, according to them, 26,000 times more business than WWE did. You know, last year we delivered, according to the Barb ratings, the two highest rated fights between, you know, on subscription TV between Sky and BT. And those two fights with Daniel Dubois and Nathan Gorman and Josh Warrington and Kid Galahad, they delivered the highest ratings. We've done one show prior to lockdown this year. All we've done is one show. And that one show was at Your Call, which went free to air. 1.2 million people watched it. Do I believe these Barb ratings? Do I believe WWE? No one watched it? Come on. It's one of the most popular sports out there. It's bullshit. The Sky ratings, we need to explain what they are. The Sky ratings, the show went out on 3 Sky channels. It went out on Sky Action. It went out on the main Sky channel at 9:30. So I think it was 9:30 or something around that time to 11. And it went out on Sky Mix, which is a free-to-air channel. It's not behind a pay-per-view wall. And apparently, they've added a load of different peaks together, which doesn't give the correct number. It actually averages out about 88,000 at the maximum. It did peak apparently for 1 minute, 140-odd thousand. As I said, our free-to-air we did earlier in the year, done 1.1. If you want to believe the Barb ratings, you want to believe their rating, you want to combine all that. Go to BT's YouTube channel. David Adelaide. He's had 2 fights. This is called promotion. All he's had is 2 fights. 3 million people watched it on there. His last fight. 3 million. Go and look. It's up there.
I've seen, yeah.
So this is the platform that we work on. We've got all these various different channels that we work through. Our fighters are getting massive exposure. Go and see how many views Daniel Dubois had on that same outlet, the BT YouTube outlet. Have a look at that as to say Buatsi's had. You know, Joshua Buatsi's great fighter, bronze medalist in the Olympic Games, done fantastic. He's a winning fighter. I signed a guy up called Anthony Yard. No one even heard of him. He had 11 fights. They walked down the street. Who does everybody recognise? Daniel Dubois, 7 senior bouts. Everybody knows him. Why is that? If he's on some channel that no one watches, it's just bullshit. And with the greatest respect to Mike Coppinger, and I'm sure he's been fed all this stuff, he doesn't know what the background of it. He doesn't know what it actually is. And I don't want to get bogged down with it because, you know, at the end of the day, my broadcaster's happy, my fighters are happy. We're all happy in what we're doing. You know why we're happy? Because 3 million, as far as David Adelaide's concerned, 3 million people have seen him in his second fight on BT.
Well, listen, there was a lot of encouraging things he was saying yesterday as well, that he'll put egos aside and he'll do it for the good of the fans. So that is positive. One thing I do want to address, and I'm only addressing it because you put a statement out and you mentioned it regarding Andy Ayling. They said that obviously he tried to sabotage your show. Now, I know you made a statement saying that he's his own license holder, but do you want to just clarify that whole situation, Frank?
So let me tell you, Andy Ayling is our events manager, okay? His job is to ensure that the events we put on, certainly in this pandemic, at the BT studio, because, you know, remember, I've not attended some of these because we're only allowed a certain amount of people in there. So the deal was that he has to look after it. That's his responsibility. So he's been, and he speaks to the Boxing Board of Control all day, and certainly the Chief Medical Officer have not stopped singing his praises for what he's done. Remember, we did 3 shows before anybody else. So we were the people who pioneered or, you know, worked on this and made it all happen. What I'm hearing is being said that he made 3 complaints. These are the exact words and what I've seen. And I only got involved in this, by the way, on Thursday. I knew nothing about this to it. It's just bullshit, as far as I'm concerned, on Thursday. And and obviously I know the background of it now. So what happened was that the MC, and I mean this with a great respect to the MC, if the MC, you know, dropped down dead tomorrow, it wouldn't stop the show from happening. He's not a boxer. That's a fact of life. But the MC put a tweet out saying he was at Newark Airport, and a response said today, he was just about to get on the flight, and the response said, "Great, looking forward to seeing you." That was 11 days before the fight took place. Right? The governments have, certainly from the States, which has the highest epidemic rate in the world, state is 14 days quarantine. So he's going, and I want to ask you how you feel about this. According to his tweet, I don't know, and I'm only picking this up after it's all happened. He's going into this bubble you're sitting in, for the most, where this terrible virus is the worst infectious country in the world. He's coming there into your bubble. So Andy Ayling, because remember they said he made 3 complaints, wrote a letter to the board, asked them for advice, and asked him, "Is this okay for this guy? Because this is what he's saying." And your officials, which we'd already agreed, that we would share the officials. Our fight was on Friday night.
Yeah.
Bear in mind, ratings-wise, Friday night, 7 o'clock, not Saturday. Just add that one, I forgot that. The weigh-in, I think, was at Matchroom Show was on the Thursday. So board officials were at that weigh-in, in that bubble you're at, and they left from there to go to the bubble that we're at. We're BT staff are working, my staff are working, and so forth. And we to get these fights on this studio, we had to go through a lot of hoops because of safety, health and safety. Imagine BT, imagine their staff, you know, sort of corporation and company they are, to make sure that this was safe. So the question was asked: "Are you satisfied this guy come in?" Not a complaint, a question was asked. And I don't think that's unreasonable. I'm sure you must be. If you're in that bubble with a bloke who came in, and if you come in 14 days, no problem. If he was there 11 days, I'd be concerned if I was you. And I'm certainly concerned about my staff. Where you're going. If Andy was being malicious, as he was said, surely all he had to do was put up that tweet. Say, what's this guy doing? What's happening? Could easier done it, made it public. He didn't do that. He wrote to the board and asked a serious question. Not about sabotage. How are you sabotaging a show over an MC? The fighters are fighting, not the MC. Who gives a shit about that? It's just a nonsense. It's about safety precaution. And that's what he did. But what I want to know is, how did he get a copy of the letter from the board? So his solicitor, not his solicitor, is writing to the board and asking all these questions. And you're in this bubble right now. I'll ask you a question. You're a journalist, and you're very serious-minded. Go and have a look at ask the fellow to show his passport when it was stamped.
Okay. I
I don't
will,
know about
yeah, I will.
tickets, because I can get a ticket today. So I can order a ticket now and say, oh, look, I'm flying out today. Have a look at his passport. I'm not saying it won't say any different. It might be 14 days, whatever it is. Go and have a look, just to satisfy yourself, because you're in that bubble.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to clear that situation up. But bar that,
And it's bullshit at the end of the day. Parker, that was about health. It's not about, Andy didn't make it public. The only people who made it public was Matchroom. So we're past all that. What I want to focus on now is positive. And positive for me, the most positive thing that's happened is we're going to meet.
Before we end, do you want to just give a message to Eddie and people at Matchroom, because I'm sure they'll be watching, end on a positive note, Frank?
I'll come over there today if you like. Let's meet in the car park.
You're in the bubble.
Outside the bubble. I don't want to infect anybody. I'll wait. When's the show? The show on Saturday. I'll be there Saturday night as the show finishes. Let's meet in the car. I want to get the meeting on. Look, I'm being very serious now. I'm very pleased where we're at. I'm pleased we had this conversation. I'm pleased it's happening. We're going to make this happen, because you know what? He's a very positive person, and so am I. And we're going to make it happen. Him and I are going to make this happen for British boxing.
Okay, Frank, I want to thank you very much for talking to IFL TV. Hopefully we have a catch up soon in person. You're going to be at the show next week, Frank, do you know?
It depends how many people they allow in there. I'm not fighting. I'm like the MC. I'm not fighting.
Okay, well, if you're there, I'll see you. If not, I'm sure we'll still see each other soon, all right?
I'll look forward to it. And that picture's a bit wonky at the back there, mate. You must sort that out.
Blame the holiday in.
All right.
Take care, Frank. Thank you.
See you, mate. Bye.